Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we are here to talk about, I'm sure, what is going to be one of the biggest scenes from not only episode 5 but of the first half of Generation Q season 2, and that is the hotly anticipated Bette and Tina scenes, which take place in episode 5, titled Lobsters 2. So we have several scenes with everybody juggled around. We have Bette, Tina, Carrie, Angie, and Micah in a therapy session at the LGBTQ center. And before that, we have a scene with Tina and Carrie and later Angie. And then afterwards, we have a scene with Carrie and Bette and Micah. And then later on, a scene with Carrie and Tina. So I'm going to go over and talk about all of those. So make sure you stick around at the end of this video to hear about hanging out with L Word cast members, and make sure you are also subscribed. And let's get on to today's video, which is going to be the episode 5, Lobsters 2, the Bette and Tina scenes. Okay, so starting out, we have a scene with Tina and Carrie while they're waiting for Bette to get there and to go into this session with Angie and Micah. And I'm loving this, introduction into Micah here. And yes, they tweaked his job a little bit, but I think it's really well done. And I have huge kudos to Leo Sheng in this episode, because especially that scene where it's like Jennifer Beals and Rosie freaking Donnell, like Leo Sheng doesn't get enough credit, I don't think, because he isn't someone who's like trained as an actor. Like, he was basically discovered by the showrunner on Instagram. So I think he did an awesome job in this episode, and I hope he gets more stuff like this in the future. So Tina and Carrie are having this kind of light-hearted discussion about going to Mexico, and Carrie's like making a joke about it. And she very quickly, switches into, now you promise she's gonna behave, don't you? And of course, talking about the one and only Bette Porter. So Carrie, obviously, she has this light front up, but she knows deep down that Bette's a nightmare. We all know. We all know it.
We can be Thelma and Louise all the way to Mexico. No, she's gonna behave, right? You promised me she's gonna behave.
Yes, I promise she's gonna be fine, okay?
Okay.
Look, I know that you think that she can be difficult.
Yes, and I'd be very surprised to find out that's an unpopular opinion.
Look, she and Angie have a very special relationship.
I know that.
And Carrie can, Angie said, like, I want to talk to you about something. So it's obviously not going to be like some small, like what university she wants to go to, or it's going to be something big. And I thought it was interesting the way Angie had said, I think she says it to Jordy, that she said to Tina that, oh, I just need your support and stuff, because it definitely seems that if Bette wasn't Bette, that Angie just would have like told Tina this. And like last episode, we have Bette very much being like, you can tell me anything. And although she says that, like, and Bette is a really good parent, there is some sort of like barrier here. And I think it's in the same way that like Bette thinks that she's constantly like, oh, I'd do anything for Tina. Like, I love her to death. But Tina doesn't feel that way. It's like the whole thing that, I mean, Rosie says it in this scene so brilliantly, that she feels sorry for Bette because she doesn't have Tina. And Tina's like, she doesn't want me. I seriously cracked up so much when Rosie was like, yes, she does. Because If that's not the entire L Word fandom going, hello, Tina. Yes, she does.
I mean, what I have to do is I just have to start feeling sorry for her and not get as pissed off, you know? That's the trick.
Whatever it takes.
It's gonna work because I already feel sorry for her
Why is that?
because she doesn't have you.
She doesn't want me.
I think she
You
does.
say this about everybody.
I do not.
She doesn't.
Yes,
I promise
she does.
you. No, she doesn't.
Honey, yes, she does.
Look, it doesn't matter, honey.
Why not?
Because I love you.
It was brilliant. So I really enjoyed those scenes, and I think you got a bit more of a glimpse into why Tina is with Carrie. I mean, I've never found it hard to buy because I actually have seen a situation exactly like this because I knew someone who was very good looking, very, high powered job, a great worker person, like had a huge career, made lots of money, and they were both two like pretty femme lesbians, and they split up because, and actually it's even crazier situation than Tina and Carrie, because the Carrie is like 25 years older than the Tina. So I've seen stuff like this happen in real life. It did not shock me at all. I think that Tina, you know, wanted more of like a simpler, happier, like low key life. There had to be, I mean, that's what I said before this season even started, before they even cast Carrie. I said that I really wanted to see them cast someone completely different from Bette, because it's obvious that Tina has gone to Carrie because she's not getting something from Bette. And if she just showed up with a Bette lookalike, then it wouldn't make sense why she just wasn't with Bette. So I definitely think that we saw more here about the scene, and like, they're laughing and like, yeah, there's silly little jokes when she's talking about putting the light on the car and going to Mexico and all these things, but Tina like generally seems to be having, a little laugh, and she seems happy. So anyway, we move on to the next scene, and Bette has now arrived, and I just love like the tension and like the build up in this scene, because I mean, we the audience we know it's going to be bad. We know. And it's kind of like Tina knows a bit too, because she just, you keep just the expressions and the way like Laurel's sitting and stuff. It really seems as though she's like, for fuck's sake, she's going to go mad. Like she's just waiting for Bette to explode. So I thought the way they were building this up to was really good. And then literally the split second Bette figures it out. She's just like, no, no.
I think you're saying you want to find out if you're a match. Is that what you're saying, honey?
Yeah. No. God, no.
Ms. Porter, before we shut her down.
Look, she can't donate a kidney. Is that clear?
I mean, but shouldn't we hear her out?
You don't have a say in this.
Ms. Porter.
No, I'm not trying to have
Well,
a say.
good, because you don't.
I can relate to Angie because I'm adopted too.
She's not adopted.
What?
She is our child. Mine and Tina's. We're her parents.
No one's questioning that.
She did. She
No,
just
I
did.
didn't.
It goes fucking crazy. I absolutely love it. It's just classic Bette Porter. And then Angie's like, oh, perfect, just exactly what I didn't want to happen. And both Bette and Tina in absolute unison are like, Angie! Killed me. And I think here is again where you see Angie and Tina, like, yes, don't get me wrong, Bette is a fantastic parent, and they have, like, as Tina says, a very special relationship. But I think that there's something, it's like, because Tina is so open, and like Tina's quite like, Tina's got a really amazing career as well, but Tina's just like a lot more calm, and I don't know what the right word is. Like, I don't mean warm. She just, there's like, I feel like with Bette, there's always this like barrier that you have to get through. Like, and very few people have got through it. Like obviously Angie and obviously Alice and Shane, but there is every so often that the barrier comes up a little bit. And I think all these scenes just show you again Bette and how she believes, that she would do anything for Tina and that Tina's the love of her life. And I think that's totally true. But Tina doesn't feel that way, and it's the same way that, like, Carrie's like, she's in love with you, and Tina's like, "No, she's not. No, she's not." Because Tina doesn't feel that way because there's something in there somehow that Bette has not been able to, like, get across to her, and I think absolutely Bette loves Tina more than Tina loves Bette, but Tina can't understand all of Bette's love. And it's the same thing with Angie. Like, Bette will bend for two people, Tina and Angie, but they don't feel that way. And that's why this whole thing is taking place. And Angie's having to have this, like, session to tell Bette, basically, because if it was just Tina that had to be told this, Angie wouldn't have done this whole palaver. She just would have told Tina. It like last week, whenever she wanted to go to therapy, she went to Tina and said, I want to do the therapy thing. And the last person she asked was Bette, because with Tina, there's like, I don't know whether it's because they're both like open that way or something, but with Bette, there's just this little barrier that just sometimes she's her own worst enemy. She's her own worst enemy. So Tina goes after Angie, and they do have this really nice scene where they're talking about Bette and doesn't she always behave this way and react this way?
We're here to listen and help you try to make the best decision.
Well, B seemed pretty sure about how she felt.
Yeah. Isn't she always like that? I mean, at first.
And again, I think this is like the barrier. I think this is, and I've said this in a lot of videos this season, that Bette is one of those people where she doesn't process, she gets the information and reacts. There's not, I get the information, I process it, and then I work it out, and then I have my reaction, and then maybe I tweak my reaction a little bit. But with Bette, it's just like information, explosion. Okay, then I'm gonna think about it, then I'm gonna process it, and then I'll have the appropriate reaction. It's like a heart and a head thing slash, I don't know, she's like a fire reaction that she just goes off the deep end, and she's like to Tina, "This is our daughter's organs." And I loved Laura Holman's face in this scene. You can just see Tina's already exacerbated. She's just like, "Here we fucking go."
Maybe if we could just refocus.
Tina, how are we even having this fucking conversation? This is our daughter's body that we're talking about. These are her organs.
I know, but we're.
Oh, you want me to be the bad guy?
No,
Okay,
I just
fine.
wanna
The
listen.
answer is no. Absolutely not. No. Angie.
No, why don't,
Angie,
Miss Brooke, why don't you let Tina go? Okay, you don't want to crowd her.
Because I think that is like something as well that Tina just, it's easy with Carrie, and Carrie's like happy to go along with like what Tina says and things. But with Bette, it's always like, boom, to the nth degree, and like it's always so much. I know that's maybe not like the best way to put it, but it's exhausting, I'm sure, for Tina to have to like deal with that and constantly like talk Bette down. And she's trying to calm Bette down and process her own feelings at the same time. And it's like Tina's feelings are taking a back seat because Bette has had such a reaction. So Tina's trying to tell her like, calm down. And I'm glad that Tina and Angie could go and have that little moment, because then Tina got to really like process and then say her feeling, and how she doesn't always have to agree with her, but she'll support her and things like that. Because if they would have stayed in the room, it would have all been about Bette's feelings, and Bette would have overpowered the whole situation. So in the first episode of this season, we had Bette saying about Finley coming into the wedding, about how that was such a selfish thing for Finley to do. And again, you guys know I love Bette to death. I'm a Bette apologist, but she does have this very selfish reaction sometimes where her reaction is so huge that it absolutely overpowers the reaction of other people, namely Tina. So while Tina and Angie are having this little conversation in the corridor, Carrie and Bette are kind of talking with Micah about their mothers.
I grew up without my biological mother, and it always made me feel a little different and kind of lost. Then when we connected, it answered so many questions for me. And if she asked for anything right now, I'd be there for her.
That's you, that's not Angie.
That's true. Every family has its own dynamic, and we should never presume that what worked for us will work for someone else.
And we get like a tiny bit of Carrie backstory, which again, I'm loving this building of the characters. And Bette says she hasn't seen her mother in 30 years.
Still alive?
I wouldn't know. She left me.
Well, wouldn't it be amazing if you could reconnect with her?
No, it wouldn't be amazing.
How do you know?
Same way you know you don't like fucking scallops, Carrie. I tried it once and it wasn't for me.
And I did talk about this at my live, but I want to put it in here because I know not everyone goes to the lives. In season 3, Tina has that gay and straight mixer, and there's that honest homophobe guy, and he basically says to Bette, like, oh, I bet your parents wish you weren't gay. And Bette says, oh, my parents are dead. Listen, people can have very complicated relationships with their parents, especially with their mothers, because we are told by society, like, oh, your mother unconditionally loves you, your mother's always there. And when that's not the case, like with Bette, where her mother has left her and things, you can have these very complicated feelings that sometimes you're gonna try and just shut down a conversation because you don't want to deal with it, which is exactly what Bette was doing there. She didn't owe that guy, oh, actually, my dad's dead, but my mom, abandoned me and blah, blah. She's not going to get into that with that guy. And then people also point to whenever her dad was dying and she put the picture up of her mom and said, I wish my mom was here. Again, people can have complicated relationships with their families, especially their moms. And in that moment when Bette was so upset, and remember that was when Tina and her are broken up and she's about to have Angie and her dad's dying. And I'm sure she did wish her mom is there, because you can feel that and also still recognize that her mother's done this awful thing to her and left her. So I also seeing there's in season 1 where they've got that like group, Dan bloody Foxworthy group, and Bette says, my mother is white, and she talks about her mother in the present tense. So I think the original show just kind of left it up in the air about Bette's mother left, and that was all. Like, she could have been alive, she could have been dead. And then now the information we're getting is that's still kind of the case, because Bette doesn't really know. So maybe we'll get more information about that going down the line. I definitely would love to see more, because I'm always up for more character backstory and more information. So I'd love to hear more. And I think that this shows, a lot of probably where Bette's issues are coming from. And Bette does have this thing with abandonment and stuff. And again, as I was saying, like, society in general, like, holds like mother and child relationships like up to the highest regard. And when you don't have that, and your mother, for whatever reason, maybe they are dead, maybe they have mental illness, maybe a host of other things, and you don't have that like perfect society, my mother unconditionally loves me, there's a lot of shit that goes with that. And I'm sure if we knew more, there'd be a lot of answers as to why Bette is the way Bette is. So we do have then Tina and Angie have rejoined, and Tina and Bette are super, super upset in when Angie's talking about Kayla, and then she's talking about Kit, and it's a tough day for Bette and Tina, and when she's bringing up Kit and stuff, like, well, Tina did have, Kit was her sister-in-law, and they're very close too. So yeah, it's a really, really tough day for them, and I think everyone in this scene was just brilliant, and especially I can't even say especially, all of them, everyone was just absolutely fantastic in this scene. And Jennifer and Laurel were just perfect when, Bette, who you can see Bette physically trying to stop herself. Like, she is trying so hard not to reach out her hand to Tina, and she can't stop herself. She just does.
Thank you for sharing your truth, Angie. We don't need to come to any decisions right now. We can all just process what Angie's told us, and
because she's like so upset. And then she reaches out and grabs Tina's hand, and when did we first see this? I think we first saw this at like July. I think the end of June we first saw this. And so everyone's been asking, just does her hand grasp? And Tina does very quickly grab Bette's hand, and oh, sweetest moment.
process what Angie's told us and discuss next steps.
Then you just hear all around the lesbian world, yay! So that was a cute moment. And then all of a sudden, the scene ends and we don't see anymore. And we see Tina and Carrie in the car park. And Carrie, I am with you on this. The bit where she's like, I need a massage, I need a tea. That's me after every goddamn episode of this show.
God, I have a headache. I'm starving. I need a hot tub. I need a massage. I need that tea that you give me to calm me down.
Yeah, it was an intense day.
Totally intense. I mean, I should have worn my night guard. My jaw's killing me from grinding the whole time. I mean, your daughter is amazing, but that Bette, God, she's a tough one.
So Tina and Carrie basically get into an argument about Bette. And I mean, Carrie is right in what she says. Bette is a tough fucking woman. And just the way she says she doesn't know how Tina ever married her. Tina is not happy with that, which Tina's right too. That's the mother of her child. And
Look, she'll come around. She always does. We'll be okay.
I don't know how you ever married her.
What?
What?
Don't talk about her like that.
Like what?
She's the mother of my daughter. And we have to try to make this work.
Okay.
Don't do that.
What am I doing now?
Your tone. It's
My tone? Are you fucking kidding me, Tina? I just got verbally beat up by your ex-wife, and you want to talk to me about my tone?
so they get into this argument, and the way that Tina talks about, oh, come on, like about the wedding. And there's a few other things Tina said. I think in the first episode, she said this too, that it just makes you seem as though, like, yes, they're engaged, but there's not like absolute, definite, booked in concrete plans to get married. So I really wonder what's going to go on here, because as Carrie says, she feels as though Tina is like Angie, Bette, Carrie. So, I mean, Angie is supposed to be about 17, I think. So she'd be going to college or university within like a year or so. So it would be interesting what happens there, because obviously, like, usually if your kid goes to college or university, like, you don't have as much parental stuff going on. And like it's just so hard. Tina and Carrie, like what's going to go on there, because we know that Laurel and Rosie are both in episode 9 and Laurel is in 10. So it kind of leaves everything pretty up in the air as to what's going to go on with Bette, Tina, Carrie, the whole circus. So the episode ends with Bette and Tina at Bette's house, and Angie comes home. And the one thing I thought was really funny about this scene was that Tina's like sitting on the couch like a normal person, and Bette is like this is Tina sitting down, and Bette is like right here, like the tiniest bit of room. There's a chair like here, there's a chair here, but it looks to me like Bette is like, I need to be as physically close to Tina as absolutely possible without making it obvious.
Why don't you come sit with us?
I'm tired and I don't want to get into a whole thing.
I just wanted to say that I behaved so poorly. I mean, I just acted so much out of my own fears that I wasn't even able to hear you. I feel really ashamed. I'm so sorry.
And we love you.
And she's just standing there like, what are you doing? So yeah, she looked like she wanted to get close to Tina. And when Tina and Angie hug, it really looks like Bette's like, let me in there. I think she knew, oh, I got my handhold today. I can't be too greedy and try and get in there for a hug too.
And we're open to you reaching out to Marcus. You can meet him if you want to. We know how important this is to you.
Oh my God. I forgive you. I forgive you. And thank you so much. Oh my God. Thank you. Thanks.
And that is pretty much it for this video. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out my full episode 5 review, going over this and everything else in the episode as well. And make sure to check out some of my other videos on the channel. I did one last week that is all the callback moments in episode 4, and I even took clips from episode 4, but also from the original show. So I'll link that in the description box and in the cards above. But if you would like to win some really cool stuff, let me tell you how to. So all of my competitions, you have to be a subscriber to win. So make sure you have that subscribe button hit. And if you would like to win Jennifer Beals autographed photography print, you can pick any picture you want. The pictures in the L Word book, and if you go to thejenniferbeals.com, you can see all the options, and I will get her to sign it for you, and it will be shipped wherever you live. There's no issues with any of that. So make sure that you comment on any of my reviews. You can enter 10 times, and that's obviously if you comment on every single review this season. And if you would like to win some merch, it's the same deal. Subscribe and comment, but on any of my trailer breakdowns. And then if you would like to meet Ari Mandy, and if you would like to get 2 VIP tickets to Girls in Wonderland, and the event is taking place in Orlando in October, and I'll link the information down below so that you can check it out. Please only enter if you can actually go. The flights aren't included. So it's taking place in Orlando, Florida, again in October. So if you want to enter, comment on this video or any video and just say, I want to hang out with Dani in Florida, and we'll enter you into that draw. But again, make sure you are a subscriber to win. Don't forget all my other stuff. Follow me on social media. Check out my Patreon if you'd like to become a VIP Silver Star. Make sure that you are listening to my brand new podcast, Drinks at Dana's, which comes out every single Monday, sometimes a little bit early. And we do a cocktail that is L Word themed every week. This week is, of course, Tibette does therapy. So make sure to go over to my Instagram and the Drinks at Dana's Instagram to find out how to make the Tibette does therapy cocktail. And everything else is linked in the description box down below. That's the best place to look if there's any links or anything that you need. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.